welcome to Adventure Light. My name is Tom, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the 3FUL inner tent, which is designed to fit tents like the Mountain Laurel Designs Duo Mid, the Mountain Laurel Designs Trailstar, or this tent here, the Asta Gear Windwisper2. It's a 4-season, 1-person inner tent, and I'm going to be showing you a few of the features it has, and also how you can fit it into tents like this, some of the modifications and some of the tweaks that you need to do to get it to work just right for you. Okay, so I've set up the 3FUL inner tent inside the Asta Gear tent, and you can see at the head and the foot end there's plenty of clearance, so you're not going to be brushing against the inside of the tent when you're sleeping in there. The front of the tent looks really nice and tight, which is brilliant. However, when I open up the tent, you'll see that everything isn't quite as it appears. So as I open it up, you can see that the back of the tent is still a little bit saggy, and that's because the clipping points on the back seam don't match up with the clipping points on the tent, so the back of the tent is quite saggy. Now, that didn't bother me very much to start with, but on one particularly windy night, when the inner tent was just bashing against my face, I got really fed up and I thought, right, I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to do something to make the inner tent a bit tighter so that doesn't happen. And I came up with a couple of ideas. I thought maybe I could put some new attachment points on the inside of the tent. And then I had an idea that what I could do is potentially give the inner tent a pair of braces or suspenders, if you want to use that word instead. So what I did is I got a piece of bungee cord and 2 clips. I believe these are tarp clips, so you can attach them to a tarp to make special peg out points. They only cost couple of, I don't know, 10-20p on the internet, and the bungee cord is something that's come from a waterproof jacket or a windproof jacket that I was throwing away. I just pulled out the bungee cord, so it didn't cost me very much. But what I've done is I found a way to get the back of the tent a bit tighter. So what I do is I attach one of the clips to the back seam. There you go. And then I come around the other side, make sure that they're about the same height, that's level, and then I pull that up and clip it into the carabiner that I've got at the top of the tent. And what that does, if you look there, is it pulls the back of the tent really nice and tight, and it keeps it off my face. So a really simple solution, just a piece of bungee cord, 2 little clips. You could use bull clips, or these tarp clips, and you can make the inner tent that much tighter. So the inner tent is 215 centimeters long by 70 centimeters wide by 110 centimeters tall. So if I lie down on it, I can give you a better idea. So if I lie, so my feet are probably just under a foot from the end there, and if I lie down, I've got probably about 20 centimeters space for my head. I can sit up, as you can see, without really brushing the sides, and yeah, I'm 5'10", and this is plenty big enough for me. I'd say it probably fits somebody up to 6 foot. Beyond that, I think it's probably going to be a bit too small. Okay, so this is what the 3FUL inner looks like inside the Trailstar. I've set the Trailstar up in what I call the open pitch, so pegging out 4 corners, and then the 5th corner makes the ridge line. So it's quite a lot taller than what I would call the storm pitch, where all 5 corners are pegged down and you've got a much lower pitch. And it fits this arrangement of the Trailstar really nicely. There's plenty of space around the edges, so you're not going to be touching the sides of the Trailstar, and you've got plenty of height for the tent to fit into as well. If you do use the storm pitch, the 3FUL inner is a lot harder to use. I have managed to get it to work, but it is quite tricky and requires quite a bit more fiddling. The great thing about using the Trailstar with the 3FUL inner is that the elastic loops on the back of the inner do actually clip on to these at the back, so that's quite handy. Obviously you could have the 3FUL inner along the back or along the sides of the Trailstar, depending on your preference. One thing that I have done in the past is using those elastic suspenders or braces, whichever way you want to call them, and I have attached these clips onto here just to pull out the front of the inner tent a little bit more, and that's made it a little bit tighter as well. So I'd say that the inner fits the Trailstar in the what I'd call the open pitch just as well as it fits the Asta Gear tent. So it's quite versatile in that regard. It can be used in different tents, but like I say, you've got to tweak it to fit the tent. Okay, so I've set the inner tent up on its own so we can get a better look at some of the features that it's got. And my favourite feature of all is the door. It's got a T-zip door, so zips going from the middle to the top and to each side. And the great thing about that is obviously the versatility that you get. So you can have one side open, both sides open, or you can just zip the middle open and just reach out and grab something from the porch. There's tie-outs on both sides. You can see them there. They've got some reflective material on, so that's going to be quite useful at night time if you need to find those tie-outs. At the top of the tent, you've got a webbing loop with a metal stud. That's going to fit your trekking pole if you wanted to pop it in that hole. What I've done is actually add some bungee cord to the top, so I tend to attach that to my inner tent. But I've also added some shorter pieces of cord as well, so depending on the height of the tent that I'm using, I can adapt the inner tent to fit it. Along the seams, so along the front seams and along each of the back seams, there's some elastic loops. Now I'm assuming that those are designed to fit onto toggles which you might have on the inside of your tent, and I think that they may fit the Mountain Laurel Designs Duomid quite well. You can see at the top here there's a little clip, so you could attach a lantern or a torch there to give yourself a bit of light at night time. And then you've got your bathtub ground sheet on the bottom. The bathtub ground sheet is made out of a single piece of fabric, and in the corners they've reinforced it really nicely with some stronger fabric, and that's laminated on. The main body of the tent, I believe, is a 15 denier, quite tight weave fabric, but at the top you've got some no-CM mesh, and I've not had any issues with midges getting into the inner tent. It's a really good tent in that regard. On the corners you've got some sort of triangular pieces of fabric which when you peg it out means that the bathtub stays nice and upright, so that's really good as well. There's also a peg out point right in the middle just below the door, which is quite good because it allows you to centralize the tent, the inner tent, when you're setting it up, so that's quite handy. With regard to the corners, the peg out points on the corners are really tight, so if you're using something like an Eastern Nano peg, you might actually struggle to get them through those holes. So what I've done is attach some lengths of bungee cord, and I tend to use the bungee cord to peg out the inner tent yeah, that's something again that you might want to do as well. If you look at the back here, let me just get inside and show you. There's also a little pocket just there, so that'd be perfect if you've got a mobile phone or any valuables that you want to keep close to you during the night. Other than that, there's not a lot to say really. What I would say is that this is a really, really well-made piece of kit. I've not found any flaws with it. It's held up really well. I've probably used it at least a dozen times now, and I've not noticed any problems with it at all. I think it's probably the best piece of camping gear that I've bought off AliExpress. I've got absolutely no complaints about it at all, and I would happily give this, I'm gonna have to give it a 9 out of 10, I think, not a 10 out of 10. And the only reason I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 is because I'm not 100% sure which tent it's specifically designed for. So regardless of what tent you use it with, you'll probably have to do a few little tweaks to make it fit your tent just perfectly, but it's as close to the perfect inner tent as you can get.